Patriarchy.
Excellent.
What'd you have in there?
103.
103, a sucker front pin downwind, and you put it to like 18 inches, it looks like. Welcome to the Bag Chatter Podcast. I am your host, Brian, joined, as always, by my co-host, a man who's never been to California. Adam, how are you today?
Yeah, it's a thing I've said for my whole life. Short-lived. It's a short-lived thing that I can say. We are headed to San Diego very early Sunday morning, and I can't wait, Brian. I can't wait. I don't know about you. I know you're dreading it. I'm looking forward to it.
No, I can't wait either. I had to get that line out. This is the last time that I'll be able to use it. So, yeah, it should be good. The weather doesn't look amazing, but with each day, it is getting a little bit better. So,
but it looks like San Diego not amazing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like 64 and sunny. Like, I think we'll survive. I think we'll make it somehow.
The bar is high for San Diego.
That's right. It's an unfair standard that San Diego has set for itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. Going to be playing a bunch of golf, good people, good hang. You're a good hang. I don't know if I'm a good hang, but you're a good hang.
I think you are a good hang, Brian. I think we as a tandem are an excellent hang. So, we accentuate each other's level of hang.
I'll second that notion. And I'll say that again in a less awkward way. We were a good hang up until that point when I forgot how to speak.
Yeah, you had a brief stroke just on the mic.
Speaking of mics, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to throw a little caveat in the beginning of this episode, and that's where we are. We're at the beginning, so this is a perfect time to do it. Good news and bad news. Good news, we have brand new microphones that we're going to be using for a lot of what we're doing on the course, outdoors, on location, if you will, during a lot of the Bag Chatter podcast.
I will.
The bad news is that we didn't get those until a couple of days ago after we recorded a lot of the content, not a lot, but some of the content in this episode. So I just want to put it out there. I did my best with some of the on-course audio in this episode. I did my best to clean it up, and most of it I got to a mediocre level. But
I haven't heard it yet, so let me tell you, from my perspective, it's setting a really high expectation as you speak.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make the listeners think, oh my gosh, when they cut to these handful of clips, I'm probably going to need an interpreter to hear them. And then once you hear them, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I can hear what's being said. It's just definitely not the highest quality. So
okay.
I am trying to play with expectations a little bit, but I want listeners to know that we realize this is not ideal audio, and we've already done something about it. Look at us.
Already remedied.
Absolutely. You are going to be hearing a little bit of on-course audio today. You're going to be hearing a little bit of narration. I'm excited for what's to come. Adam, how did you feel about the first episode that we threw out there?
You know what? It was pretty exciting because last year, it was mostly just strict conversation, and you did some editing, you worked some magic, you did some narration, and Brian, I felt like I was hearing the story for the very first time. I got all excited. Did I get teary-eyed? No, I didn't get teary-eyed. But I loved our first episode, and well done by you on the editing board.
Well, thank you. I was not fishing for compliments there, and yet you delivered. That was nice. Yeah, I got some great feedback. I'm assuming you got some good feedback as well from people. So
strictly negative, but I liked it. And that's what matters.
I'm very excited and to go on this journey. I'm going to say something. My perspective on competitions may already be changing.
Oh,
just a little bit, just as I process, as we talk through things, as we have some experiences, there might be a story arc here where I'm changing, Adam. I know you're not capable of change, but I am.
Brian might be becoming a real boy, and we all
Pinocchio.
We
That's
are
Pinocchio
all-
reference. I get it.
We're all rooting for him. We're all your Geppettos.
One other thing about our trip to San Diego that I am really excited about for two reasons.
Mhm.
I'm getting fitted for Titleist irons
Oh.
out there.
Yes.
And I am excited about this for two reasons. Number one, because I'm excited to get fitted for Titleist irons. But number two, because I'm excited to take you to TPI,
Yeah.
to the Titleist Performance Institute for the first time.
Yeah. I'm as pumped as you. You're getting irons, and I think I'm as pumped as you. And that's saying something, you know?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Titleist, that reminds me. All right, before we get into it, Adam, what can you tell me about this episode's sponsor?
Well, I can once again tell you that it's not sponsored by Titleist.
Oh, you mean the incredible brand behind the brand new SM10 wedges?
Yeah, that's them. The #1 ball in golf and the #1 brand in not sponsoring Bag Chatter.
Incredible ball, though. You play the Pro V1 like I do, right?
Yeah, exclusively. Can you imagine playing any other ball?
No, not in my wildest dreams. Actually, only in my nightmares.
Titleist, not an official sponsor of the Bag Chatter podcast. By the way, please don't forget to go back and delete this one when you're editing.
Yeah, I won't forget. Welcome back to Season 2 of Bag Chatter, which, as you probably remember from last week's first episode, is all about official competitions. As discussed in Episode 1, we've decided not to use my big ignorant bucket of tournaments approach to classifying these things, and instead, inspired by Adam, we've broken down all of our individual and team competitions into 4 tiers of importance. The first tournament on our calendar was a Tier 4 team event put on by GAP, the Golf Association of Philly. It was one of their Winter Series events, a 2-man better ball at Golden Oaks Golf Club in Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. There were 44 teams registered, but ultimately only 21 teams that were in our flight. Something we didn't know as we talked about our expectations on the hour-long drive to a course we've never played before.
Expectations going into today's better ball event?
None whatsoever. It has been rainy, cold, windy. I went to the range yesterday. Miserable. There was like a 40-mile-an-hour cold wind in my face, but I just hadn't played, so I needed to hit the ball at least. It went fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it feels like it'll be a miracle if I play well, but I'm going to give it a go.
Okay. That's maybe the least positive I've ever heard you talk about your game heading into something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not negative about it. Weather has not allowed us to play golf. And so there's just a small sample size. I've been playing fine in my sporadic playing.
Yeah.
But it's a crapshoot a little bit. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I feel like I just like our energy playing as a 2-man team. I feel like we know how to make those ham. I saw that on FanDuel Sportsbook, it was basically even odds for us to top 20 today.
Oh, wow.
There's 44 teams, so
It's better than even odds. We're gonna top 20.
okay, yeah, I love that. I do too, actually. So, because I feel like everybody else is going to be equally rusty.
We registered, hit a small bucket of balls, and awaited our instructions for the day. As we drove to our first tee box of this shotgun start, Adam let me know just how that bucket went for him.
We're driving out to our starting hole on 17. Only playing 6,000 yards today, Brian.
Yeah,
How do you feel after your range session?
I had a great range session. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like all the work I've been putting in on the sim has helped. I felt like it wasn't the first time I picked up a club in 2 weeks, which would have been how I felt in previous years. So, feeling great.
I started my range session terrible. Hit the equator of the golf ball like 7 straight times with a wedge. Got that figured out. I didn't mention this. I bought a 2-iron, traded in the 3-wood for a 2-iron. and I smoked that thing 4 or 5 times, feeling really good. We're only, like I said, only playing 6,000 yards, but I have a lot of 2 irons off the tee today.
Are you feeling more or less positive than you were in the car ride over here?
I'm feeling more. I feel like I thought we were going to play from longer. I had no idea what my swing would be doing, and it was fine by the end of the day. I feel like shooting in the 70s on my own ball is a very reasonable goal now.
I feel great. I feel like
Better or worse?
I feel better. I think we should be shooting for top 10.
Over under finishing position 17 and a half.
I'm taking the under.
Taking the under. All right.
Our first hole of the day was the par 4 17th, the number 1 handicap hole playing directly into the wind. And by the way, from here on out, I'm going to refer to the hole number we're playing, not by what it actually is on the course, but by what it was for us on this day. So on that first hole, after 2 good drives, I unfortunately fatted a wedge a few paces short of the green, but Adam hit a decent approach to the front fringe about 25 feet from a front pin. I knocked my birdie attempt just by the left edge a little too aggressively, leaving myself about 12 feet coming back for par. Then Adam stepped up, and just like he had done all day during his personal best 367 1 month earlier, he rolled his 25-foot birdie putt at the hole as if it were on a set of railroad tracks. It looked good the entire way and fell into the bottom of the cup. 1 hole, 1 under.
I mean, I knew I was going to play well today. I said that on the way over, but 1 under through 1, that's good, right?
Yeah, I think we're probably leading this tournament right now.
Probably. I'm putting it in Golf Genius right now and seeing us at 1.
Yeah.
Our next hole was a par 5, also playing into the wind. We both had 50-yard pitch shots for our third shots, and we both made routine pars. Same for our third hole. 2 greens in regulation, 2 pars. Still at 1 under. I flushed my drive on our fourth hole, and with a little help from the wind, got it out into the fairway about 265, 270 or so. Adam opted for 2-iron, something he just recently added to the bag, and he sailed his tee shot at least 10 yards past my driver. I'm not kidding when I say this new 2-iron is an incredible weapon. I hit a great sand wedge pin high to a back pin, leaving me 15 feet for birdie. Adam, meanwhile, hit one of his worst approach shots of the day to the very front of the green, leaving him a 70-foot lag putt up the hill. He lagged that putt up while the rest of us were reading our putts. But when he shouted, "Go in," we all snapped our heads over to his ball, which was 15 feet away, but tracking directly at the hole. The ball listened. It went in. 70 feet for birdie. And just like that, we were 2 under.
So on our 4th hole of the day, Adam hit, what, a 70-footer?
Yeah.
It was a very, very long putt for birdie.
It was like perfect speed. It was just tracking so perfectly.
Unbelievable.
It was ridiculous.
I don't think they enjoyed it very much. I don't think they hated it. I just don't think they enjoyed
They
it.
didn't enjoy it. They were very polite. They were nice.
Yep.
But it did not. They didn't feel enthused.
No fist bumps from them.
Hole 5 required less than driver off the tee, and all 4 of us in the group hit the fairway. We all had about 100 feet in, over water, to a sucker pin at the front of a narrow green. Adam, having slightly mishit his tee shot, was the first to play. He flighted his approach perfectly, and literally almost dunked it. He had 1 foot for birdie.
Great shot, dude.
Thanks.
What'd you have in there?
103.
103, a sucker front pin downwind, and you put it to like 18 inches, it looks like.
The last hole I had like 115 downwind, same direction, and I came up short, and so I was like exact same.
And just like that, we were 3 under, and one of 3 teams tied for the lead. Hole 6 was our first par 3 of the day, and Adam missed the green short by a few feet. I hit one of my best approaches of the day, an 8-iron to about 20 feet just above the hole. Now, you're going to start to sense a theme here if you haven't already, but Adam's 40-foot birdie chip was running right for the cup. It looked really good the whole way. It hit the pin, but instead of dropping, trickled a few inches past the hole. easily could have went in for the same price. With Adam in for par, I tried giving us a decent look at birdie, but my 20-footer came up a foot short on a not very good line. It was my second green in a row where I misjudged the speed, an issue that would stick around longer in this round than I wanted. We both made par on the par 5 7th, but my putter failed me on our 8th and 9th holes, leading me to a bogey and a double. Thankfully, Adam stayed hot, making par on both holes to keep us at 3 under through 9. And by us, I mean him. He was 3 under on his own ball through 9 holes. As we got into the cart to head to 10, I hinted at the fact that I was not feeling great about my performance on the greens to that point.
Try to stay positive here.
Why wouldn't we stay positive?
We can stay positive. I'm going to try to stay positive about my own
Just
game.
stay positive.
I will.
Doesn't matter what you've done to this point. You played fine at this point.
Yeah, on the greens, I'm quite a mess.
The 10th was a par 5 and one of my worst swings of the day. A pull-hooked 3-wood from the fairway led to another bogey. Thankfully, Adam stayed hot. He was laying 2 just short of the green and his pitch shot came to rest about 5 feet below the hole. He hit the putt, and just like that, we, and he, were now 4 under. The 11th was a 125-yard par 3 playing dead into a slightly left-to-right strong hurt wind. Adam found the right fringe with his tee shot about 60 feet from a back left cup. I found the middle of the green, but had about 35 feet to the hole. Unfortunately, we both hit our worst putts of the day. For Adam, it was his first bad one, a complete misread of the line that left him about 12 feet above the hole. For me, it was another awful judgment of pace. This time, I only got the ball about 2/3 of the way to the hole. I missed the par putt, and then Adam's par attempt just slid by the hole, giving us our first blemish of the day and knocking us back to -3.
Alright.
Stings a little.
Yeah.
Stings a little.
We had 7 holes left in the tournament, and my frustration was mounting. Not contributing at all was fine because Adam was playing lights out. It was just the fact that I had 0 touch on the greens that was really starting to put me on tilt.
I have not been this lost, speed-wise, on a green in years. Every other part of the game is pretty much fine, but it's so bizarre. I'm rolling things super long, super short. Frustrating.
Adam would tell me later that he thinks the reason my putting was so bad was because the practice green seemed a little bit slower than all the other greens on the course. I have my whole technical system of how far I take the putter back. It's usually very reliable for me, but I think I made a decision on that practice green that the greens that day were going to run a lot slower than Honeybrook, my home club. But I think what we found out by the end of the day that the greens were actually pretty similar to Honeybrook. That's why I was off all day. I would hit the ball too far and then try to compensate and hit it too short. Rinse, repeat. So I made 2 changes heading into the final stretch of holes, one of them probably being a little more significant than the other. First, I took off the winter hat I'd been wearing since the start. Also, I decided to abandon my usual technical putting technique and just go completely feel-based. The switch worked, as I lagged a 50-footer on the 12th green to 3 feet and made par. Adam, despite missing the green with his approach, pitched it up beautifully to 5 feet and also saved par. So his incredible play continued, but unfortunately our bogey on 11 had us now 2 shots off the lead, which was at 5 under. Meanwhile, our playing partners, Joe and Tanner, who were awesome to play with, had made 2 straight birdies and were now tied with us at 3 under. Adam and I both found the fairway on the uphill par 5 13th. Standing behind him, I could tell that Adam's drive was off the toe. I could actually see the club turn in his hands, but it still went straight. Thank you, Titleist. My 4-iron from 205 came up 15 feet short of the green, while Adam's approach landed on the green but released to the very back, some 50 feet away. As he made his way back to the cart, I shared this thought, feeling a little energized from my 50-foot lag par on the previous hole.
I needed to turn something around putting. I took off my winter hat finally. I was keeping it on because we were playing so well, / Adam was playing so well, but, we bogeyed our 11th hole. So took the hat off, had about 50 feet for birdie and snuggled it up to 3 feet. Nice 2-putt. I did all feel, no technical, and we're going to roll with that the rest of the round. I need to contribute. I need to keep my head in this because the difference between us winning and being outside the top 5 might be me finally contributing on one of these holes. So I got to stay in this.
But back to the par 5 13th. I hit a really nice chip with my third up to pin high, giving myself about 10 feet for birdie. Adam had a pretty tricky eagle putt from the back of the green to the point where he called me in to take a look at it, something he rarely does. "How much does this run away after the hole?" he asked, worried about putting too much pace on it. I saw what he was seeing, but after feeling it with my feet, I felt like the green was flatter than it looked, especially in that area right after the hole. "I don't think you need to worry about it getting too far away from you," I said. Adam lined up the 50-footer and put a good stroke on it. Halfway there, it was clear he had nailed the paste, but I just wasn't sure it was going to hold its line. But then, it did. It fell into the cup from 50 feet for an eagle 3 to get us to 5 under.
I'm waiting to stroke my 20-footer for birdie, and Adam decides to casually drop in a 55, 60-footer for eagle.
I'd say it was 45, 50.
Okay. 50-footer for eagle. Are you kidding me right now?
It's hardest for the lead, too. It's a 50-foot eagle. It's hardest.
50-foot eagle top. Let's go.
So we had 5 holes left, tied for the lead at 5 under, and now 1 shot ahead of our partners. The 14th hole was playing dead into the wind, and Adam and I both found the green in regulation. Adam ran his birdie putt a few feet by, and I left mine just 2 feet short of the hole. We both made par to stay tied for first, but Tanner made his birdie putt, their 4th in a row, to get them to -5 as well. There was now a 3-way tie at the top. Everyone found the green on the par 3 15th but me, when my wedge trickled over the lip of a greenside bunker and into the sand. Adam's 40-foot birdie putt just burned the edge, but he got in for par. We weren't really concerned at all with the net standings at that point, but I was stroking on the hole, so if I could get it up and down from the sand, the 3 for 2 would be worth a little something at least. I nipped a decent bunker shot to about 10 feet and poured the putt in on the left edge from my 4th par in a row. 3 holes left, 3 teams still tied for first at 5 under. Adam and I both made par on the par 4 16th, but as we walked off the green, Adam checked the live Golf Genius standings and saw that one team had gotten to 6 under. While there were a few teams that still had 3 or 4 holes left to play, we were suddenly 1 off the lead, with only 2 to play. The 17th hole was a par 3 playing somewhere around 145. Joe's approach fell short, and Tanner's flew to the back of the green. Adams had the right distance, but he pulled it a little left, leaving him about 40 feet from the fringe. I stepped up, last to play with a 9-iron, feeling pretty good that a stock swing would be the right number.
Be the number, please. Go in. Wow. Great shot, Brian.
Great shot.
Thanks. Did you just clutch up? Is that what the kids call that? You're driving up. Brian looks tight.
I think it's 4 feet.
You think so? I think it's 2.
Gosh, I hope it's 2.
If it's whatever it is, it's a tie for the lead. It's less than 4 for sure. It is 1. It's about 10 inches from the hole.
Let's go. Let's go.
To tie the lead.
Let's go.
It stuffs it.
Let's go.
Stuffs it.
I tapped in for the 2, and suddenly we were 6 under, tied for the lead in our first 2-man tournament of the year. Our final hole was a short, uphill par 4. Adam found the left side of the fairway with his tee shot, and I followed suit, except that my ball just trickled off into the first cut, leaving me with a hanging lie, the ball significantly above my feet. I had about 110 in, so I choked up a bit on my wedge, but didn't compensate enough for the stance, my chunked approach coming up about 10 feet short of the green. Adam fared better with his second, but the wind knocked it down a little more than he anticipated, leaving him 30 feet for birdie to get us to -7 in solo first place. I stepped up to my third, feeling pretty confident about my chip shot game to that point in the round. I just needed one more. I clipped a really nice low chip shot that ran almost a pin high, but it started at about 12 feet right of the pin and it never moved left like I thought it would. I put a coin down and took a look at the 12-footer I had left, hoping it wouldn't matter. Adam lined up his putt, a 30-footer to get us to 7 under. A 30-footer to get him to a 6 under 66 on the day. A 30-footer to realize the 66 that he keeps saying he feels he has in his body. He hit the putt, and instantly the line and pace looked good. But just before the ball hit the halfway point of its journey, something happened. The ball shot left about 30 degrees, completely out of nowhere, causing all 4 of us to audibly gasp. The pace was great, but the redirection caused the ball to finish about 6 to 7 feet left of the hole. "Are you kidding me?" was all Adam could get out. I got down close to the ground because I thought I could see the culprit, and sure enough, there was something that I can only describe as like a broken piece of the top of an acorn. The piece itself was small, like just a little bit bigger than a Tic Tac. Not big at all. And when I picked it up to look at it, I realized it was covered in tiny little briars because one of them got stuck in my thumb. Took me a few seconds, but I pulled the briar out, went over to talk to Adam while our opponents played their next shot. "Stay focused," I told him. "We'll complain about that bad break later. One of us needs to hit these par putts." Neither Tanner nor Joe could make birdie, meaning they'd sign for a 5 under 67. There was already one team in the clubhouse at 6 under. They weren't going to win. We needed one of these putts to join the team at 6 under. My putt was about 12 feet, slightly uphill with a little bit of right to left break. The exact kind of putt you want, honestly. I had finally figured out the greens over my last handful of holes, and after a rough stretch there where I played holes 8 through 11 and 5 over par, I was now 1 under on my last 6 holes. But none of that mattered if we made bogey here. I lined up the putt, started it just off the right edge like I wanted, and as the ball traveled toward the cup, a gust of wind hit it and visibly nudged it even further left than the slope was sending it. Now, if you play golf a lot, you know that this rarely happens. You rarely see a gust of wind affect a putt, but I'm telling you this one did. Without the gust of wind, I think it would have went in on the right side of the cup. But with the gust, it was dead in the heart. I was in for 4, and we were in at 6 under, tied for the lead. With the pressure off, Adam recorded his 12th par of the day to go along with 4 birdies, an eagle, and that sole blemish on hole 11. An incredible 5 under 67 that made my 6 over 78 feel more like an 88. We turned in our scorecard and got clarification on the tiebreakers in play. Per USGA recommendation, the first tiebreaker would be back 9 score, followed by final 6 holes and then final 3 holes if necessary. Adam pulled up Golf Genius to see where we were at. There were now 2 other teams at 6 under along with us. One of them was finished, and one of them had 2 holes left. We compared our back 9 to the other team who was also in the clubhouse. We were 4 under, they were 4 under. So we moved to the next tiebreaker and compared our final 6 holes. They were 1 under for that stretch, but Adam and I each had birdies in that stretch. I had birdied our 17th hole, which was hole 15 on the card, and Adam had birdied our first hole, which was hole 17 on the card. We had them in the tiebreaker. We pulled up the scorecard for the only other team who could beat us, Blake and Matt, playing out of Galen Hall Golf Club. They were currently 6 under with 1 hole to play, the par 5 5th. We looked at their back 9 to see if they would beat us if it came to a tiebreaker. They had 4 birdies, but 2 bogeys to come in at -2 for that stretch. If they could only make par on that last hole, they'd finish at 6 under, and we'd win the 3-way tiebreaker to win the tournament. But knowing it was a par 5, we knew it would be foolish to get our hopes up. The wait didn't last long. About a minute later, the scoreboard updated. "They just finished," Adam said. "Birdie on 5 to get to 7 under. They got us by 1. If you listened to last season of the podcast, you know that this is not the first time this has happened to us. We have a history of the last scorecard coming in being the only one that beats us. But this was definitely the one that hurt the most. Second place, one shot out of first, out of 21 teams. We actually won first place in the net division, which doesn't really mean a whole lot to us, but it did get us each a nice $100 Pro Shop gift card. On the way home, we started processing the day.
In 2 of our first few rounds together, I've shot 3 under 67 and 5 under 67, which are some of my best rounds ever.
Yep.
It's like, in both rounds, it was like today, I hit the ball really well.
Really well.
And so it's like, yes, I made a million putts, but I think I hit 14 greens or something, too. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I really hope it continues.
Now, unfortunately, the audio gets a little garbled here, which, side note, after we heard it, we invested in some much nicer microphones that we've already started using for future content, so hopefully we won't have this issue again. But the next thing Adam asked me was if what happened that day at Golden Oaks changed anything for me. And my answer was yes. What I told Adam was that the lesson I'm taking from this event is the importance of pushing through even when it feels like things are an absolute disaster. I felt so lost on the greens there for about 2 hours, and at the end of the day, it was a good round. Here's about a minute of mediocre audio from that conversation.
You shot 78 today in a competition.
Yeah.
You shot 78. You played, so maybe slightly above your handicap.
Yeah.
You would have been in your feels about something that is, I would argue, maybe the most impressive thing you've ever done in my time golfing with you.
Wow.
You shot 78 in a competitive round.
At 11 pars, I had 1 birdie.
And so you went out in a first, competition in a very long time and shot 78.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think there's a lesson for me to learn there. Just because one part of your game isn't great doesn't mean you should just take a dump and just be like, screw this is terrible. And the other reason it probably would have been frustrating is because, not that I would be comparing myself to you, but it would be like, okay, Adam's having the round of his life over here. I can't putt at all. Even though I don't go out there trying to beat you, I feel like it still would have probably made it feel like, oh, this round is going really poorly.
As I got ready to drop off Adam, he asked me what he should do with the fact that he's now had 2 personal best rounds early this year, including one in an official team event. I told him that he should take this as confirmation that he can go low and play well anywhere, anytime, so long as he learns how to handle the tension of playing in events that he feels are more important to him. This was his response.
It'll be a disappointment if I can't put up a low 70s round in a qualifier at some point this year. Like if I miss all 4 of the Gap majors, when all it's going to take is something 75 or under, and I'm capable of shooting, a good score in competition.
Yeah.
It makes me go, okay, you got to go deep. Like it's time to actually get it done.
One of our goals this year is to win a team competition, and we just missed it in our first event by a single stroke. It was one of the most fun days of golf I've ever had, and I can't wait for the next one. As for individual events, well, you heard what Adam said there. It's time to actually get it done. Those were his thoughts coming off of the high of what was clearly the best round of his life. But if you know anything about golf, you know that you can't keep shooting personal bests every time out. Eventually, you've got to take a step back.
All right! Duck hook, shank. I did care about my individual score a little bit today, but now I don't. Now it's just a team event.
Adam and I played in the St. Patrick's Day event at Honeybrook 5 days after his 5 under, and things couldn't have been more different.
I've had a horrific day. I can't imagine a harder swing in 5 days from shooting 5 under 67 5 days ago. Yeah. I'm going to say it, my back is very sore.
Yeah.
I'm not in a good place physically, which is worrisome.
Well,
I cannot turn my hips, and I cannot hit the face of the club.
we're about to head west for a golf trip with our friends from Chasing Scratch and a bunch of their listeners. And we have no idea what version of our games are going to show up. But we're about to find out. And you'll find out too, in episode 3. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for checking out the Bag Chatter podcast. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and you already know how to subscribe to podcasts, so I'm not going to waste your time. You can find us on all the socials at Bag Chatter Golf or Brian Lane Golf, and you can check out everything we have going on at bagchattergolf.com. If you want more content from me and Adam, check out the Bag Chatter Deli. That is our Patreon, where we only serve the choicest portions of 4-ball ham and the leanest cuts of bone meat. For $5 a month, you get to support the pod, and you get a weekly episode of our Friday supporter-only podcast, Cold Cuts, Hot Takes. You can find that at patreon.com/bagchattergolf. You guys are the best. Thanks so much for listening.